What's the scariest thing you've woken up to? I woke up and my dad's alarm clock was going off through the wall. He was a really light sleeper, and he always turned it off immediately. It had been going off for several minutes, and I think I knew before I got to his room that he had died. It was just so incredibly out of character for that alarm to be going off like that. He died in his sleep with the blanket still completely undisturbed, and I think I felt some small comfort at that, even though I was just a kid. Sorry you had to go through that, especially at a young age. It is nice to know that at least he was able to go peacefully. Greater than I think I knew before I got to his room that he had died. Sometimes you just feel it. My grandpa didn't have any serious health issues or suffered lately, but when my dad's phone rang at 3 a.m. I instantly knew grandpa died. I was on a plane flying from Japan to Chicago, mid-air, to try to get home before my grandfather passed. I had woken up randomly, and I just knew I was too late. Once I landed and was able to check my phone, I was right. It was within 15 minutes of my waking up from a solid sleep. Korean Air is the best for flying, FYI, with that sad pit in my stomach somewhere over Alaska. Back when I lived alone in an apartment, I used to wake to just about anything. Never woke up more terrified than the night when I woke up to the sound of my toilet flushing. To this day I can only assume that a ghost just couldn't hold it anymore. Dang, I'd be scared shitless. According to an article that I apparently can't link without getting filtered, that phenomenon is known as ghost flushing. It's a result of having a slightly leaky toilet. The bowl fills up slowly over time, and flushes when it hits critical mass. Apparently Reddit is anti-plumbing blogs or something. Weird. Edit. It seems that Reddit was just broken when I originally commented. Here is the article. Hold on. I'm no expert in toilet bows, but fixed some around the house. There is a bell-like thingy that covers the hole. Pressure will push that down, not making it go up. The rod that connects that bell to the lever you push/pull is hollow and has a hole at certain level to act as a spillway. When the water gets too much it leaks into the toilet, but doesn't flush. Edit. After some Googling, it appears that under certain conditions, when the tank is leaking, at certain water level, not low enough to trigger the filling, not high enough to apply enough pressure and bad seal between the bell or flapper and the hole, it can cause self-flushing. The things I research in 6 in the morning. Waking up to my husband yelling, "Get the fuck out of my house." A man broke into my house and crawled in bed with me. Turns out he was in the house for a couple hours. Door camera. My husband was asleep on the couch. Came to bed and found the guy on the bed beside me, asleep. That is the most terrifying thing I've read on this thread. What the fuck? What happened to him? Husband got him out and we called the cops, but they didn't find him. The cop went on vacation. Anyone else have a cop tell you they are going on 2-week vacation so you won't hear from them? Ever. He was sleeping next to you? This is my worst nightmare. Did he get arrested? A goose squawking and flapping its wings like crazy right next to my head. Damn, friends in high school just left me at the lake when I fell asleep drunk. My friends call the campus geese the bomb squad at our uni. This was given because the geese like to sit on the buildings every summer, honk incredibly loudly at everyone and everything, and they'll occasionally pick a target at random and dive bomb them for no fucking reason. It happens to me at least twice a year. You never expect it when it does happen, but you're always on your guard. They do it to cars too. We have wildlife security that hangs out to try to relocate them and their nests. Apparently we're a prime nesting spot to those feathered fucks, and also to dispose of their remains when the unfortunate scenario happens when a goose tries to attack a car going 60 kilometers per hour. Those feathered fucks. My mom laying on the kitchen floor with an empty bottle of pills in one hand and an off-the-hook corded phone in the other. I was 14, and I found her just in time. To this day, I get chills just thinking about the feeling I had to just get out of bed at 3 a.m. I never woke up in the middle of the night, but this night something made me. She's good now, 20 years later. I woke up to my mother unconscious, laying on the couch, covered in blood. She was an alcoholic and got a really bad nosebleed while she was passed out. Literally looked like someone had murdered her. She had to buy a new couch because it was ruined with blood stains. Edit. I'm so glad your mom is doing better. Mine has been sober for 13 years. Mine has been sober 29 years. This incident was attempted suicide due to bipolar. Unfortunately not her only attempt, but she's okay now. I'm so sorry you had to go through finding your mom like that. I hope you are okay. I once woke up to an earthquake at 4 a.m. I lived in a house over the ocean on stilts, so my house was rocking like crazy. It was my first earthquake and for some reason my brain first thought that someone was robbing me. I grabbed a machete and ran outside shirtless in my underwear. The neighbors next to me looked at me alarmed and started laughing. Not to make light of what must have been a terrifying situation, but I'm losing it at the mental image of a nearly naked person running outside with a machete, ready to do battle against plate tectonics. I can only imagine how funny that must have been from your neighbor's perspective. The ground gods are taking my gems again. Time to teach them a lesson. Oh hi Greg. Hi. My partner waking me up during a camping trip. He woke me to gather all our gear and our dogs into our truck ASAP. The lightning we had spotted 6 hours earlier in the day had sparked a wildfire. We got out as ash and sparks were falling around us. When we reached the top of the ridge surrounding our camp, we got out to look and watch the fire eat our entire campsite. We are so glad we called in the strike when we saw it. We met BLM and fire crews on our way out. The fire burned for like a week, one of the fires in Oregon in 2020, Lakeview Paisley Fire. The air quality, that was a bad summer. That summer sucked pretty much everywhere in the PNW. Not fun. This is always my fear when camping, that something like this will happen, in the middle of the night, and we won't wake up until it's too late. Once I woke up to go to the bathroom, got up, smack something slapped me in the face. Turns out it was my entire right arm completely numb. Nearly scared the piss out of me and concerned me greatly afterwards. Has not happened since. My leg went into the crack of a waterbed when I was a kid. I woke up and touched my leg but had no feeling in the leg, and so it felt like I was touching a dead leg. But scared the crap out of me, so I jumped out of bed only to crumble to the floor. It took a long time to get feeling back in the leg, and man was that the weirdest feeling ever. Something similar happened to me. I sleep on my stomach with my hands under my pillow. At one point one went numb. I was half asleep and the other brushed against my numb hand. I couldn't feel the touch and immediately thought someone is in my bed with me. Woke the house up screaming. Similar, except I rolled over quickly and my arm hit my face. I thought it was a stranger's and grabbed it and threw it away from me, only to get moved with the arm. Took me a moment to realize it was because it was my arm. I try not to sleep with my arms above my head anymore. An absolutely huge explosion in the middle of the night. I'm Ukrainian. We get those often, but this one was very close to my home, so it was extremely loud, and waking up to such a bang was adrenaline fueling. Edit. Thanks everyone for kind comments. I appreciate it. Stay safe. I hope this war ends soon with Ukraine victorious and you celebrate Third Day as a national victory holiday. I hope you stay safe wherever you are. My ex-GF grabbing me saying don't open your eyes, he's right on top of you. Turns out she was having a night terror and had a vision of a small child with a boot about to stomp on my face if I opened my eyes. I had a girlfriend like that too. I once woke up to her calling me at like 2 a.m. panic whispering that someone was in her apartment trying to kill her, then she hung up. I knew that was a thing for her but still, freaked me out, so I tried calling and texting her about 10 times but her phone was on silent, and right about when I was thinking I may need to call the police she called me back and said she was fine. Jesus. I would have shit myself. If I didn't feel somebody on me, I would have assumed demons and just burned the place down. It's the most scared I've ever been. I can still remember hearing my heartbeat in my ears. A few days after my wife and I got our kitten, her first pet ever, I was woken up by both of them screaming bloody murder. My wife had stepped on the kitten's foot or something, and wasn't used to a hairy, pointy, howling animal in the darkness. And then of course she felt guilty and was crying about how she'd hurt the kitty, and the cat was fine, but she was upset so she was hiding, which made my wife feel like the cat would hate her now. It was a long middle of the night. Accidentally squishing pets is old news to me, but I had so much adrenaline from waking up like that I was basically vibrating with anxiety the whole time. I did similar to my partner. Our dog developed epilepsy. His first seizure was around 4 a.m. one morning. I'd heard an odd noise and gone down to check if he was okay. Screamed for my partner hysterically when I realized what was happening. Obviously the dog having a seizure wasn't great, but he must have thought I was being murdered with the noise I made. Not sure what I expected my partner to do about it. Was fairly useless and just cried when he came down. Not a helpful response that I had. Stupid thing is that I'm a nurse. I've calmly dealt with many human seizures and emergencies. Never responded like that. Maybe it was because I wasn't properly awake. It was so unexpected, and I get very attached to our dogs. Dog is still here on his medication nearly 5 years later. My husband could have written this word for word lol. What if he is your husband? When I was like 10, I had a nightmare that ended with a local newscaster recapping the events of the nightmare. His TV news set looked just like it did in real life, except there was a Native American dreamcatcher hanging up behind him. The same dreamcatcher that was on my bedroom window. As I woke up from the dream and opened my eyes, the dreamcatcher was precisely in the same place in my field of view as it was in the dream. I sat there for quite a while, staring straight ahead and wondering if I had actually woken up. One way to check that you are awake is to see if you can see through your hand. If you cannot, then you are awake. Another way is to see if you can check the time. I never can in dreams. Those are so-called reality checks that lucid dreamers will often do. I've heard that you can't read anything in dreams. Don't know if it's true or not, but I can't recall ever reading anything in a dream. Dream and feel that you have not woken up. I had a dream I was being carjacked and was shot in the back. I was woken up by a clap of thunder that seemed in sync with the gunshot. Alternate timeline, you died and respawned in your body. I had a similar dream the other night. I was in a parking garage and had just walked up a flight of stairs to the second floor, and there was two guys by a car, hunched over a body, looting it. They saw me and one came up to me with his revolver extended, and as I was pleading for my life he shot me point blank in the chest. There was a hot flash followed by searing pain in my chest as I fell to my knees. I felt the warmth of my blood on my hands as I bled. I felt so hopeless, and then I woke up. I'm so happy it was a dream. It felt so visceral and real. Fuck stress dreams, man. As a little kid, I had a dream that I was a grown-up woman running an errand at a bank when it got robbed. I got shot in the spine, fell on the floor, and died. Woke up with my back hurting. Still a little poor kid, but with that memory of what it was like to be a higher-class adult woman going about my day, from the feel of styled hair down to walking in high-heeled shoes. I didn't even know anybody who dressed fancy like that. A bed bug infestation. I had had them for weeks and had no idea what they were. I would see one or two here or there and I'd just kill them, wonder what they were and move on. One morning, I woke up early and found quite a few of them on my bed. I started looking more closely and realized that the creases of the mattress were infested with them. Then I started to do some research, learned that I had bed bugs, felt my soul leave my body, then began the process of getting rid of them. And hashtag X200B. Actually, scratch that. The morning my mom woke me and my new wife up because the house was on fire and I had to rescue the cats, but one ran back in. She survived and is okay with us 6 years later. For context, it was a few months after I had gotten married, and my father had passed. We moved into my mom's place to help out. It was as bad a time as can be for losing a home. Seeing smoke, then running downstairs and seeing the kitchen just engulfed in flames, while still waking up, is not something I ever want to relive. Bedbugs will fuck up your psyche and your sleep. They're a psychological horror experience I wouldn't wish upon my worst enemy. 5 years after the fact and I still get paranoia attacks at a random speck in the sheets or mysterious red marks in the morning. I'll never sleep on a mattress without a bedbug-proof cover again, and bedbug traps are still under my bed and on the couch legs. Never mind waterboarding terrorists. If you truly want to break their minds, release bedbugs upon them. I willingly shared my bed with a large wolf spider for a month because she was killing them, and I hate spiders. Did you light your house on fire to kill the bedbugs? Reasonable response. I woke up on the couch with paramedics next to me with a gurney. They told me I was going to the hospital because I had a seizure. That was the day my life changed forever. I've had many of the similar experiences. Not too fun. I'm so sorry you went through this. So scary. I remember feeling like I was in an elevator that kept lurching down. I also remember pulling the car over, which thanks sweet baby Jesus I did safely, and telling my daughter to call my husband. Next thing was coming to in an ambulance being told I'd had a seizure, and that I hadn't remembered my name or the president or anything for several minutes after I stopped seizing. Absolutely bonkers. Thankfully my meds work for me, even though I have other issues caused by the same thing. When he was little, my younger son wouldn't try and wake you up if he needed something. He'd do that creepy thing kids do where they just stand there looking at you until you wake up. Well, I wake up at about 1 a.m. in a dark bedroom and see the black silhouette of a young kid standing right next to the bed. Holy shit, that's scary. Then he asked, "Hey dad, wanna play rock band?" Now here's the real question. Did you play rock band with him? Well yeah, of course. Magnitude 6.7 earthquake. Northridge, California. January 17, 1994, 4:30 in the fucking morning. I remember that one. I lived down in Hermosa then. I always slept with my police scanner going all night. My place is shaking bad and I hear a cop saying, "Please tell me I'm dreaming this." And the dispatcher said, "Nope, it's real." It felt good that I wasn't alone even though I was. I was in the 1971 Slimer February 9th 1-2 at 6 a.m. That was a 6.5. Oh dang, I think that's the one I've heard my parents talk about. I was 3 and it was my first ever earthquake. I remember the mess, my mom crying over her ceramic duck collection that all shattered, and giving oranges we picked off our trees to people who had to live in the park. Once while staying at my girlfriend's family's cabin, I woke up to a gun blast in the dead of the night. I shot straight up in bed, drenched in sweat, wondering who TF got shot. Turned out, the neighbor was a big-time bird hunter who liked to start before dawn. Shitty way to wake up. Duck hunting starts the butt crack of dawn. Married to a duck hunter for 40 years. I had a similar experience, but next day I found out my neighbor was drunk and started to shoot his gun to the sky because he thought it was cool. And I was worried and slept bad thinking someone got shot/murdered in the neighborhood during the night. My father dying. Sending you a hug. Laid down, was just drifting off when I heard something thump the edge of the mattress, maybe 1 foot from my face. My mind started racing. Forced myself up to turn on a light. It was a frog. Got in through the window AC, I guess. Woke up to a bat in my room once. I hear this squeaking by my head. I turn on the light. There is this small bat on my bed, my cat just batting it around. It apparently got in through the AC. Did you help him into bed? 9/11. Woke up, flipped on the TV, 3 minutes later saw a plane crash into a building. Our neighbors knocked frantically on our door. When we opened it, the neighbors told us we were under attack and that they'd blown up the Pentagon and World Trade Center. I had no idea who they was, and erroneously assumed it was the Russians. The world has never been the same since. I was woken up that day by my neighbor yelling out, "Oh my fucking God." I was completely confused and annoyed at first because I had no idea what she was reacting to. Didn't put it together until I was driving to work and put on the radio. 100 miles per hour winds hitting my house like a truck. Literally sounded like a boom and shifted the house a good degree. Also lost a shed which I never found and the lawnmower inside of it that was last winter. It led to a 3-day power outage and 30F. I'm glad I was prepared, but my gosh, that sucked. Imagine the coffee break conversation you'd have in the office. "Hey, mind you come cut my lawn on Sunday? I have to take the kids out for their dance class." "Sorry Joe, I lost my lawnmower." "Yeah, a full rider I got for Christmas from my parents because at the time I just bought my first house and I had nothing but 3 project cars, a couch, a bed, and a TV. Not even 2 months later it got blown away by God himself." Yikes. Where was that? Sorry you had to deal with that. Diarrhea that made my legs numb and believe in God. Hidden gem here for sure. I actually very much know this experience. It is truly fucking awful. To my son telling me he swallowed a penny and it was stuck in his throat. Never moved so fast in my life. After a quick examination, we determined he was breathing fine, so threw him in the car and off to THRER we go, as opposed to calling 911. As we are at the reception desk, I'm explaining the problem and getting him registered and turned to him. He is looking very green. I ask him if he is okay, and when he opened his mouth to reply, he puked all over the floor. Husband points to the floor and says, "Welp, there it is." Staff started dying. This, for whatever reason, made their day. They insisted we be seen anyway to make sure there was no tearing. Doctor came in giggling. "Heard what you did at the reception desk. Making my job easy today." He was fine, but what a scare at first. When I was a kid, I swallowed a penny that I had been cleaning in my mouth, lol. It was one of those squash souvenir pennies with Scooby-Doo on it, lol. We also went to the doctor and they took an x-ray where you could see the picture of Scooby-Doo in the actual x-ray from inside my stomach. I guess I eventually pooped it out or something, lol. Your parents may have had to pan for it. JK lol, you'd probably remember that, but that's what I did to make sure it got out. That's crazy you could see the Scooby-Doo. There's nothing worse than kids scaring you like that. This wasn't so scary, but once when my son was maybe 3 I was swinging him on a hammock and he commented he could feel the 2 marbles he ate hitting each other in his stomach. My child screaming like they had been hurt badly. They just had a bad dream, but that sound was terrifying. Oh man, for a few months when my kid was 3 they would wake up screaming right there. Right there. I'd rush into the room and they'd be pointing at the floor-length mirror. Had to throw scarves and blankets on all the mirrors for a while. When I was little we had a cat and one night it saw another cat through the kitchen sliding door and made that cat wailing sound. It entered my dream right before I woke up, and then I woke up screaming. I have woken up several times with the voice of a child speaking in my ear. The scariest thing is that my whole room is completely silent and nobody around me. I woke up once to multiple people whispering in my ears. Sounded like I was possessed. For me it's a case of mild sleeping paralysis. Maybe you experience that too? That sounds like a hypnopompic hallucination. I understand this to be audio hallucinations. I get these, which is why I sleep with ambient noise 99% of the time. Hypnagogic auditory hallucinations. I get them when I've been really stressed. Sometimes it's a person talking in my ear. The worst, others it just sounds like I'm in a crowded restaurant with a bunch of people talking in muted voices. Really weird, but I'm glad to know it's fairly common. /edit for spelling.